I'm Jake. This is Ricky. This is Harrison. This is Eric. And this is Hot Takes.
Alright guys, last week we talked about quarterback ratings, and this week we're going to talk about the running back ratings for Madden.
Alright, for me, McCaffrey 99.
Perfect.
I agree with that. That's solid.
Perfect.
Derrick Henry 93.
Maybe a little
I might
bit
put him at a
higher.
95.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'll
Maybe a little bit higher.
Listen, when I talk about rushing yards per game, Derrick Henry was number one in the NFL.
Where would you rank him then?
Where would you rank him? Yeah.
Well, if he's number one in rushing yards per game, I don't care how many carries he's getting. That's a 99 in my book.
Better
That's a
than
99 in my
Christian
book.
Christian
Even
McCaffrey?
99.
Christian McCaffrey had MVP stats per running
No.
back.
I give him at best 96. At best
96.
96 is
Maybe
fair.
97.
That's fair. That's
Listen,
fair.
nobody in the NFL in 2019 had more yards than Derrick Henry. Okay? If you rely on a guy like Derrick Henry as much as they rely on Derrick Henry, then how could you not have him
That's true.
number one?
He did have one of the best football stats in playoff
Listen,
history for a running back.
If you're going to tell me that 100 rushing yards per game is not the best running back in the NFL, then you don't know football. Then you don't know football.
But McCaffrey
Christian
can do it all.
McCaffrey does more.
Christian McCaffrey.
We're
can do
talking
more.
about running the ball. We're talking about running
Christian
backs.
McCaffrey was clear-cut the best running back before
Third
the playoffs
cut,
started.
third
In the playoffs,
No,
Derrick
no
Henry
chance.
was.
Well,
Christian McCaffrey
using this logic, Josh Jacobs should be the third. Because
No!
No
Exactly.
way.
Chubb
No
has
way.
better- Nick Chubb had better stats than him.
the third, I said. Fucking
McCaffrey. McCaffrey.
You just said Josh Jacobs should be the third.
Judging on yards per game. Yes.
McCaffrey can do it all. He can run. He can throw the ball, and he can catch the ball.
McCaffrey?
Christian
He can do it
McCaffrey.
all. He can do it all.
catch the ball.
Christian
He's
McCaffrey's
one of the
overall
best receiving running backs in the league.
Derrick Henry's number 2.
Derrick Henry is number 2.
Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb 92. I'm fine with that.
I'm
Cool with that. I'm cool with that.
Zeke Elliott at 92.
I'm
Bullshit.
flip.
Bullshit.
I'll straight up say bullshit. He's terrible.
Terrible.
I don't like the guy.
That is
but
too high.
But he had 1,300 yards.
To
last season.
rank
that's
Saquon
pretty high.
Barkley.
I hate to bring
under
up
him.
I hate to bring up what we're just talking about again, but Christian McCaffrey had 4 receiving touchdowns last year.
Yes.
4 receiving
That's pretty
touchdowns.
high for running back.
I understand that's pretty high for a running back, but if you go by that, Mark Ingram had more catches and receptions for touchdowns. Mark Ingram had more receptions, more touchdown receptions than Christian McCaffrey. So if you're trying to tell me that Christian McCaffrey is the best running back
But-
because he can also catch the ball,
Mark
then
Ingram
where's
had
Mike
Lamar
Ingram?
Jackson throwing to him. He had Cam Newton.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
had Lamar
Cam Newton was
Jackson who
injured
can only
at
run the
the
ball thrown to him.
And
Cam
who's that
Newton was
other
injured
dude?
at the
Who's that other dude? What was that other quarterback? Kyle Smith?
Something.
Kyle. Who the hell was that?
Kyle Allen.
Christian McCaffrey.
Kyle
single-handedly-
Allen.
Yeah.
Who the hell's
Christian McCaffrey
Kyle Allen?
single-handedly carried the Panthers.
Ezekiel too high. Saquon Barkley should be
They should
easily
flip flop.
easily.
92, Saquon, 91.
I put Dalvin Cook at a 92. Dalvin Cook was an absolute monster.
He's better
He
than
was this
Ezekiel
season.
Elliott.
Complete monster.
Joe
Easily.
Mixon though? 89?
We can't shadow him. He is on
got the
one of
stats.
the
He's got the
shittiest
stats.
teams in the league, and he's still putting up them
Yeah.
numbers.
I'd leave Joe Mixon where he's at.
I think
Joe
an
Mixon's
89
I don't
is
know.
good for him.
600 yards he had last season.
But you got to
That's
think of
pretty
his
crap.
team. You got to think of his team though.
Yeah, but if we're talking about that
A
though,
1-in-15 team.
If he has a team
I'm
so
pretty sure
bad, then
two-
he's going to get
two
more
13.
opportunity to touch the ball then because he
Yeah,
doesn't
if
have
he
guys
has a-
like
if he has a
Team
crappy-
shit, so no one's helping him.
but
So
if
they
he has
know.
a crappy QB and a crappy team, he should be getting the ball more.
Mhm.
So
But
which
then
means he
people are
should
gonna
be
know he's getting the
yards
ball
more.
more.
You can't
Why do
argue
you think
the
the
stats.
they're gonna
Patriots
push-
never have a good running back? Because
They
they
do.
never had. Okay.
You can't argue the stats. Joe Mixon has the
Show him a
stats.
show.
He's alright.
Bro, he's not-
that.
he's
not
not
pretty
that
good.
If you're making a tier list, is he even A tier?
No.
No,
He's
he's
not-
not even a
he's a
tier.
good
So
running back.
he's been in the shadow of the quarterback's arm for his entire career. Because
That's true.
who is handing the ball off when you have Tom Brady as your quarterback?
Yeah.
The greatest quarterback to ever grace the NFL, Tom Brady. You're not going to run the ball, so you're not even going to have an opportunity. So let me say this. Let me say this. If you want to talk about Joe Mixon being so good, would Joe Mixon thrive inside the Patriots organization with Tom Brady at the helm?
Yes.
No, he would
Nah,
not. They
nah,
would
not
not
as
be
much,
giving him
nah,
the ball. They
nah.
might throw the ball to him, but they're not going to run the
All
ball.
Tom Brady does is throw to the running back half the time. He'd have the stats. He'd still have the stats. Joe Mixon has the stats. You can't
With
argue
that
the
year-
stats against that overall.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the stats.
does.
He
He
had
has
600
7,000
yards. He got 600 yards last season.
bro. Joe Mixon has the talent, and he's on
Joe
that
Mixon's
team for him to
good.
put up what he did. I think
Josh
he's-
Jacobs had more yards than him last
I think
season.
Joe Mixon should stay where he's at.
I
89's
think
fine.
Joe Mixon could be an 86. If we're talking yards and stuff, Miles Sanders should be up there too.
I agree.
Yeah,
Miles
Miles
Sanders
Sanders
should be like
Miles
an
Sanders
87,
with only an 80 when he had 800 yards, more than Christian McCaffrey, than 99 his
Yeah,
rookie year.
Come on.
All I got to say is that I don't know where they have Le'Veon Bell, but he was a massive letdown last year. So I don't
Massive
know.
he was.
letdown.
I don't know how you can even have him
Massive
in the
letdown.
top
He's
10
making
running
almost
backs.
quarterback money,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah,
doing that.
I don't
That
know
was a letdown.
how you can have someone get paid as much as he got paid.
Yeah.
They put him in a position to be successful, and he was that bad.
Yeah.
Okay, last
Right.
one. Alvin Kamara. I think that's
I don't know.
I
he's a
think
good running back.
The stats, just because of the stats last year, I put him.
He was
at
a good
80.
running back.
I think he's 90 potential, but as of last year, he's an 88.
You gotta
This
you
can
gotta
also
look-
go up and down.
you
during
gotta
the year,
you
too.
gotta look at this dude's team. He's got stacked players
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah,
Wow.
a team like that. Yeah.
He's getting a piece by piece for that year. Like he's not getting the ball that much. So doing the stats that he has with that team,
Yeah.
I would give him maybe like an 87,
I keep
87,
I just keep
88.
him
That's,
80. I think
that's
88
fair.
is
That's
fine,
fair.
yeah.
That's fair.
I think 80 is.
Josh Jacobs though, I think that's pretty fair. Too.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs balled out.
NHL. Seattle just released a new team, Seattle Kraken. What do you guys think?
I like it.
I do like it as well.
I like the name. I think it's pretty creative.
The jerseys are good. I like the anchors on the shoulders. Very good colors.
Seattle has a very big history in hockey, and I'm glad that it's coming back.
Yeah, a couple interesting things to think about is how Tampa Bay has basically had one of the greatest rosters we've seen in the NHL. Basically, I'd say all
Ever.
time,
That's right.
because they
Right.
they had as
Sure,
many
sure.
points, wins as the greatest team to ever play. And when it comes to the expansion draft, who are they going to lose? They're going to lose a big name guy. So Seattle guaranteed is going to have at least potentially a first line player right out the gate. And
Could
we
it be
saw
like-
what happened with Vegas a couple
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah, yeah.
Stanley Cup final, first year in the league. Can Seattle do that?
Could they
Maybe
do the
even
same thing?
win the cup.
I
They took
think they
one of the
could.
greatest
I think
scorers
they
of all
could.
time to, what was it, 6 games?
Yes,
That's
they took-
that's
Yeah.
insane.
I think they could be.
They couldn't have got a worse matchup in that final. That's for sure.
I mean, you got all these good teams around the league now. I mean, there's a few bad teams, but you got to think: is this Kraken team going to be better than Detroit?
I think out of
Like,
the gate, they're guaranteed to be competitive right out the gate.
They'll be right
The,
there.
the
I
thing,
like that.
the thing I don't like about the way they do the expansion now, they used to do this for all sports leagues. They used to have at least 2 teams coming in at once, and they'd be competing at each other at the expansion draft. So each
Yeah,
team took a
I
turn
like that.
going back and forth, picking
Yeah,
from each
that's
team.
True. That's true.
They don't have anybody to go up against. They can fully focus on whatever player they want from this expansion pool of
Yep.
players.
That is very true.
Vegas
Yeah.
basically,
If there's a young player, they can take
They can
that.
take whoever
they
they
can
want.
take what they want.
so it
That's
makes it
basically-
super
kinda
easy.
crazy.
It's basically kind of like a playoff appearance, like straight off
Yeah.
the bat, where all those players that
Yes,
they pick.
I
from.
do
100%.
kind of like this though because that makes sure all the amazing teams in the league to make sure we don't get no Golden State Warriors.
That's true.
anymore.
Yeah, it levels
That's
out the
true.
league
It
and
levels,
shit,
it
yeah.
levels it out. I like this. I also like to see a new team make it to the playoffs straight away. Like the Vegas Knights going to a Stanley
Yeah,
Cup
that was
final.
exciting.
You
That
gotta
was kind of
think.
entertaining.
There's a few Seattle teams now. Supersonics. Make
I
it a
think
comeback.
maybe. But this stadium also is costing $900 million
Jeez.
and hosting
Ooh,
actually
money.
200 events a year. It says. So this could potentially make a comeback in other Seattle sports. So
Yeah.
Who
maybe.
knows?
You think they'll be successful to Kraken? You think they'll have a lot of fans?
I mean, out of the start, I feel like it depends on how successful they are. You saw how Vegas immediately out of the
Oh,
gate had.
yeah.
They have diehard fans now just because of that cup run. It doesn't matter if they're good, they're bad, they're going to have fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just looking at some of these names that are going to be unprotected in the expansion draft, potentially, this is not 100% confirmed, but you have guys like Tyson Yost, Ryan Dzingel, Oscar Lindblom recently signed a new contract and now will be available in the expansion draft if he does not get protected. Jaden Schwartz, Michael Gramling, Tyler Johnson from Tampa Bay. There's so many good names.
That's a
big
good
names.
team.
It
lot
would
of
be
big
hard.
names in
It
there.
would be hard to go up against teams like this, and who knows who they actually end up picking.
Yeah.
A lot of teams are going to use this as a way to get rid of some big name contracts. So you might even
Yeah.
see teams, especially since
Benefiting.
the coronavirus entirely just changed how sports are going to work now. With salary caps
Yeah.
aren't going to go up, so I think entirely it could be an opportunity for teams to get rid of those big contracts, even if the players worth the amount of money they're making. They might want to clear up some room.
I am interested to see who their goalie's going to be as well. Because that's an
Goalie,
important
yeah,
part of the
I am.
franchise. That's the QB. That's the pitcher. That's the most important.
I would look. You want to get on traded to the expansion team. Or
My
drafted
guess,
by the expansion team.
You see a lot of teams have one starting goal team and a backup. But there's one team in particular, Pittsburgh Penguins have a starter, and I mean
The Bruins as well.
And
They
Bruins
have
as well. But
Bruins.
I think that Matt Murray is going to end up on this expansion tree.
That would
I
be
think
crazy
Matt Murray,
'cause the
the
Vegas
Golden Knights took away
Oh,
their other
right,
goalies.
right. Yeah, that would be
Something
crazy.
about
That would-
Pittsburgh, they
that
always
would
have
be-
these great goalies. They have Tristan Jarry and him, so I think we could see them protecting
I
Jarry and
could
leaving
see
Murray.
Halak or maybe
Rask.
Yeah,
So,
Rask, Tuukka Rask. I could see one of them on there too.
Fleury take the Vegas Knights to
He
the Stanley
was
Cup Final.
different.
The question is,
That's-
will they make the same mistake Pittsburgh in protecting the wrong guy? Because clearly, Marc-Andre Fleury has been better than Matt Murray.
Maybe, but maybe Fleury we wouldn't have seen a resurgence if he didn't get traded. Because that happens to a lot of players. You get
100%,
traded
yeah.
and you get a lot better.
Sometimes
As
it
a
just depends on the
Flyers fan.
circumstances.
Last championship, Seattle's NHL team, 1917. Are we going to see a championship brought back to Seattle in hockey?
It's
Is
been
that the
100
question?
years. I think they can win it within the next 10 years. As
Yeah.
long as
Yeah,
they,
that's-
I agree.
Yeah.
everyking comes down to that expansion
They have
draft.
all their picks.
They just
No
picked
one's
some
taking
guys
their
that I
picks.
had no idea who the hell they were.
Yeah.
90% of the players, they put them into a system. All the players bought into that system, and that's why they were successful.
And
Those
everyone-
guys were not that good when they were taken. They just
Yeah.
found a way to make guys that were
William
cast-offs.
Carlson,
They were
perfect example of that.
perfect example.
He went off.
He went
that
from a
season.
guy that scored about 6 goals a year with the Columbus Blue Jackets to a guy that put up 30 to 40 goals.
One of the best
consistently.
players in the league.
Well, Seattle Kraken have no pressure in the expansion draft. Literally can draft anybody that they want. We might see a playoff appearance for them coming in the 2021-2022 season. Look out for the Seattle Kraken.
All right. So Bol Bol, he went off last night in his first NBA performance. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think he's one of the best rookies in the league. And I know that's a broad statement.
It's
But
very
you don't go out there and get 6 blocks in a single game
That was,
easily.
That was pretty impressive by a rookie.
Yeah.
6 blocks in his first NBA.
I mean, it
performance.
was, to be fair, it was against the Wizards, and it was in
Yeah.
this new bubble place. And they did you see the Nuggets starting lineup? All big men.
3 big men in the
They
starting
put
lineup.
Jamal Murray on the bench for that. I mean, it worked. I mean, it was the Wizards, but
I'm impressed most by his shooting, bro. That
he
16
stretched the
points?
floor.
He like,
Stretched the floor easily.
dude, he can shoot. Like
16
a bitch,
points
bro.
for
But what I'm really interested to see is, we all know Jokic is one of the best passing big men in the league, if not the best. The Jokic and him connection, that's going to be pretty
It takes
interesting.
a lot of pressure off of Jokic, bro, to do his thing.
They both can stretch the floor as well. You
Yeah.
don't. That's not often where you have a power forward and a center that can
Yeah.
stretch the floor.
Next big duo?
I can
They
see
did.
it honestly. They have Jokic locked down for a few years. They just
They did.
gave Jamal Murray a big contract. Who knows?
I'm not
Nuggets-
sold though on Bol Bol yet. I
I'm
gotta
not
see
sold.
it.
I'm not
I gotta
sold.
see it in a
But
real
this
game.
is just
one
the
game.
beginning. This is just the
It was a
beginning.
scrimmage against one of the worst teams without 2 of their best players.
This
Yeah.
is very reminiscent to me, 100% of what we hear about every offseason as a Phillies fan, or excuse me, not Phillies fan, Sixers fan. We hear the same thing about Ben Simmons has been shooting all offseason, or he's been doing it in practice. He's been
I agree.
Guess
Yeah.
what?
True.
Do it in a game. If
Right.
you don't do it in a game, you can do it all you want in practice. You can do it all you want in a
Yeah.
scrimmage. You
Yeah.
got to do it in a game, and that's exactly what you got to do if you're a Bol Bol.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter your stats.
There's
you
no
got to do
point.
something.
If you are a 7'2" shooting like him, and there's a 6'10" point guard that can't shoot, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That is very
Bol Bol is
embarrassing.
7'2" and he's shooting
Yeah, you
like
gotta-
some of the best shooters in
You
the
gotta
league.
perform in the big moment, or it don't matter. Like we saw Lonzo in the summer league go off, and
Yeah,
he hasn't
what did
done
he
shit
do?
in the-
What did he do?
He hasn't done
Is this
shit
a
yet
new
for the
KD?
Pelicans.
It could be a new KD.
He's lengthy, he can
Yeah,
shoot.
He, look like, he's got the
At
play like him.
7'2",
bro.
he can shoot over anyone.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. He can,
Anyone. He's one of the tallest people in the league.
yeah.
Now, are we gonna see the Miami Heat regret their decision of trading him to the Nuggets? You think the Miami Heat
Yeah,
will regret
right.
this decision?
How could you
Honestly,
not? All they gave up was what? A couple second-round picks.
Yeah, you gotta regret that.
we got
As a result of the trade, the Nuggets do not have their second-round pick until the 2023 season.
Yeah,
and
I would.
have
That's a while.
That's-
to get it.
what is
They
that,
had
3
all
second
those
round
What do you
picks?
bank
Bol
on?
Bol.
What do you bank on in the second round of the NBA nowadays? Like,
That's what I'm
unless
saying.
a guy like this,
I'll give
unless a
up
guy like
all
this
of my
falls-
second-round picks for the rest of my life
Yeah, right.
to just get this one guy that could potentially.
I mean,
Change the
Yeah.
franchise.
Wasn't he projected to be?
Yeah,
he was projected to be a
He
lottery
fell
guy.
a lot. He was
Yeah.
supposed-
When
wasn't
you
he
have a guy
predicted
that
first
drops
round?
that
One of the
far,
top centers.
when you
I'm
have a
just
guy that
saying.
drops that far, what's the reason? Like,
I'm
why
just
did he drop that far?
Nikola Jokic, second round pick.
I mean, the
Debatably the best
chances,
center
the
in the
chances that
NBA.
you get in a guy in the
Eric
second round.
Bledsoe.
There's always an outlier.
You're not gonna win a
Last
championship with
round.
second round picks.
What kind of hurt him is we didn't get to see March Madness, so I would have liked to see Bol Bol go
Yeah.
off in March Madness with Oregon.
I'm interested to see all these rookies coming up. You got Cole Anthony,
Speaking
RJ
of
Hampton,
March
Toppin.
Madness and basically all about college sports, when it comes to this upcoming drafts in the future, and we haven't seen these guys perform in this big tournament,
It's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
how is this going to make
Yeah,
it
it's
more
gonna be so
difficult for
weird,
these
yeah.
general managers to pick these
Yeah.
guys that they have never seen play on the
Yeah.
main stage of these huge
right.
tournament? They've
Yeah.
seen them play probably as maybe freshmen, but some of these
Yeah.
guys might not even get into these games in March Madness due to the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And it could make it really hard. You could see guys potentially. You talking about these second round picks not being important. You have no idea who's going to be number one, who's going to be number two,
Yeah, it's
where
gonna be
these guys
crazy.
are
The
going.
draft's gonna be interesting.
Their stock is
This is a nice
crazy
draft
right
too.
now.
You got James Wiseman could go number one. You got
Yeah.
RJ Hampton, Anthony Edwards. A lot of good guards in this draft.
Any guy can
LaMelo
move up
Ball.
and down. Any guy can go anywhere. Any
Yeah.
guy can end up being the best player out of that draft, I believe.
Right. It depends on the
Bol Bol.
position you need to like for your team.
The next they did announce if they get the number one over pick, they're getting LaMelo Ball. So
Dang.
that's probably another bust for them.
Are you sold on the Melo Ball?
I don't trust the Ball brothers.
I don't trust any of the Ball brothers, but after Lonzo, all the hype
Lonzo
on
was picked
Lonzo.
number two in the NBA draft,
Right.
and that man did nothing.
Yeah, Lonzo had all that hype. You can't
So-
do nothing, bro.
After one performance,
He's a great
can we
passer.
count on he can do this all the time for the Nuggets? Can we really
Not
count
Not
on that?
yet.
Not sold.
I'm not
On
sold
top
yet.
of that,
I'm
he's
not
one of the
sold.
worst teams in the league. I just don't know.
I'm not sold, but it was a good performance
Yeah.
for his first game.
Yeah.
Bol Bol, does he have a bright future?
Yeah.
Last topic for today, we got Mookie Betts contract extension, 12 years, $365 million.
That's a lot of. I think he can live up to it.
A lot of money. Mookie
Are you
Betts-
crazy? Are you out of your mind? We're talking about an aging veteran, 12-year contract, and you're locking him up with that much money?
He has
27 years
everything.
old.
Are you
to-
crazy?
27 years old.
Hey,
He's-
hey, guess what? He's in his prime, and these baseball players, they don't get hit like they do in football and hockey. They can take that stuff. So I guess if you have baseball
And if
players,
he's aging so hard, how do you win 2018 MVP?
that's
Sure.
a good question. Hey, I'm not
2018
saying
MVP, 2018 World
I'm
Champion.
not saying that he's
He
not going to
carried
live up to the
Toronto.
contract. I'm just
Come
saying to be in your prime, right? You're trying to tell me this guy is going to play through his prime, which hey, his prime could go on for as long as it goes on, but 12 years. Is he going to be worth that much money for 12 years? Every year
That
that's
is
12
a
years.
very long time.
And add on to that, he signed a year, so it's 13 years, $392 million altogether. For the
How
next
many
13 years.
championships does he have to get to live up to that contract?
You just need one. I feel like anybody. You can live.
The Dodgers
You can
recently-
have the worst contract of all time.
As long as
You
you
win
win it.
one championship,
Yeah,
it's
in
out
baseball-
the
in
window.
baseball,
It's out the
it's
window immediately.
He's with the Dodgers. The Dodgers have been to the World Series past 3 years, and they have won zero. Zero World Series. If he wins this World Series in LA, I think he lives up to the contract.
But you got to think, this 13-year contract isn't like other sports. No, because he had the extra year. If you get injured, you're not out 13 years, obviously.
yeah.
You're still in it. You get injured, you keep playing. It's not like, hockey, you get an injury or a fatal concussion, and you're gone, you're
Yeah,
retired.
fatal concussion's gonna kill you, but that's what fatal
I didn't mean to
means.
say
Hockey
fatal.
players bounce back quick as hell too.
But
I feel like football's the only sport where if you
Football's
get
the only
injured,
sport where
you're
they
done.
bucket,
Basketball.
Yeah.
Basketball, there's 80 games.
I feel like basketball is the worst because guys, I feel like, are just weak.
They
Yeah,
tear-
it's so-
they
Those
tear-
dudes are like, muscle
Like,
soreness. Oh yeah, I'm out
my
for
back's
I'm out for the
sore, I can't
season.
play.
Considering this season is only 60 games, an injury.
This season. This
could be an ender. It could be an ender.
Yeah.
Unless it's, but I'm saying,
Listen,
unless it's
a
career-ending
12-year
injuries.
contract. As long, I'd rather someone if you're this guy, 12-year contract. You get hurt, you play it safe.
Yeah.
You want to live up and play that contract out. If you're him, you got to just make sure you value your health over your ability to just play in the now. You gotta play 12 years. You gotta get your money. So you gotta make sure that you don't hurt yourself to the point where you can't play.
But when I'm saying, unless it's a career-ending industry, you're going to get 13 years, 12 years out of it.
Coming off a year in 2019 with the Red Sox, 176 hits, a 295 batting average, 80 RBIs, and 29 home runs for an outfielder who's only 180 pounds and like 5'9". He's nothing. He's
My question
skinny.
is,
29
can
home
he
runs,
get
that's
better
great.
than he is right now?
I believe he can get better.
You
than
can
he
always
is
what
right
does this
now.
do for the Dodgers then? Does this
This-
turn them into a legitimate contender at this
I
point?
don't know, because the Dodgers have had multiple stars on their team and they haven't won a championship yet.
Maybe they just require experience.
Maybe this is the guy they need. Maybe if not, we don't know.
Is this
But
a
year-
contract signing? 6 years down the road. that we say that could be a make or break moment in this.
He has to
team's-
prove himself.
As long as he
believe
wins, if he wins the championship, it's a good contract. If not,
I believe he can be, but will he be? That's the different question.
who's your favorite to win it this year?
My favorite to win it this year, it's Yankees are up there
That's
again.
what I was gonna say.
Yankees are up there
Yankees.
again. I think the Dodgers are up there as well, but can they stop choking? They have
My
choked
question
for
is,
2 years.
6 or 7 years from now, let's say the Dodgers are out of the playoff hunt at this point, and this guy has been here, and he's one of the only good players left on this Dodgers team. What do they do with him? Are they going to ride the contract out? Is anyone even going to want to take on this contract? Could he potentially be moved for someone else? Is there any way you see him playing this full contract out?
You got to think in LA, that is a big free agency market. You have him on this team for a long time. That's one good player, and if there's one good player on an LA team, there's more likely to be more free
You got
agency.
another dude in LA already, Mike Trout, best player in MLB, hands down. Top player in MVP ratings, top 3 at least in MVP ratings his whole career. And had the biggest contract. Those 2 players, they had the biggest contract. Could it be a battle for LA? I think so, but
It's gonna
the
be
Dodgers,
interesting.
they're a good team and they've choked in the playoffs the past 3 years. So will this be the year they win the World Series?
Let's see.
Who knows?
Gotta get that chip.